Hey everybody, I'm your host for the night with the beautiful Genevieve. Hope you enjoy the show. We've got plenty in store for you. Looking forward to it.
Your life, my life, is actually a collection of experiences, a collection of happenings and events and circumstances that may not make any sense to you whatsoever at the moment, because you can't even reflect, and neither do you have a big picture in mind. But actually, in the eyes of the Creator, it is leading to somewhere, something very beautiful for which you have no idea. See, scattered pieces aren't impressive again, but when we begin to put right pieces in place by looking at the big picture and how the tiny pieces fix in, then we begin to see a beautiful masterpiece. I can tell you quite well today that some of the experiences I went through in life, because I can now have a sense of where I'm heading, I actually thank God I went through those things. Because the man I will become is predicated on what shaped me, forged me in a place where no man knew me. Integrity, excellence, these things aren't acts, they are habits. They are formed over time. Your value system, what you hold in high esteem, what is central to your person, is not something you pick off the shelf. They are things you fine-tune over decades. You don't arrive at greatness, you purposely walk towards it. No man suddenly arrives at success. You have to see yourself as a successful person, first of all, and begin to see what will I need to get there. Now look at this. Interestingly, life doesn't seem to make sense when you are too close to the several pieces or experiences that make up your story as of today. 2009, 2010, sent into a desert. Broke, battered, had no money. Could hardly even make it to where I was sent to work. But every day I would wake up, I couldn't even afford to eat. And I was very bony and very skinny. And people would wake up in the morning and actually pity me and give me some food. But I couldn't tell anybody what I was going through. There was no money anywhere. Any money that came into my hand couldn't even solve my problems. But you know, when I reflect on those times, I thank God I actually went through those experiences, because I learned, for example, how to abase. I learned, for example, tenacity. Things that you need to sort. In fact, if you can't go through any kind of hardship, don't even aspire to be great. Because it is not a bed of roses. Greatness is not a bed of roses. It's going to be tough. There are times you'll feel like quitting, but it is the real stuff you are made of that determines whether you're going to pull through the journey at the end of it. I think I'm speaking to someone in this room who is just on the verge of giving up. And I should tell you, you are not the first, neither will be the last person that is going through what you're going through. But you must hang in there if truly there's a prize at the end of it for you. So don't stay too close to your stories. Some of us are lost in our own personal stories at the moment. You're lost in your experiences. Oh, I'm addicted to this nonsense and it's really killing me right now. But until you begin to rise up and begin to see yourself in the light of who you could become but haven't yet become, also called potential, then you may not see yourself rising above those challenges. It takes some discipline to look behind, beyond, and ahead into the big picture and observe what we call the path. Now think about it this way. Whenever you see a trend, trends form paths, and that is telling you that you can ultimately predict, almost certainly guess, a destination for that line. Almost certainly guess. You might not be 100% accurate, but you are not at least ignorant. So let's go for this. I've always asked myself those questions, and those I've worked with for about 5 years in this room who are here will know that this is one of my favorite questions to ask whenever I meet with them. It's this question. If you will become the president of your country in 20 years' time, what will you start doing differently today? I've never thought about that question before. If you will emerge to become the president of your country, wherever you're from, or the prime minister of England, in the next 20 years, what will you start doing differently today? If you know, for example, that heading to that club, you could get drunk, there could be an evidence against you, and you know that you will become a prime minister, your political enemies are all over the internet looking for your Facebook pictures, where you've messed up. so that they can use that to ruin your political career, will you actually start and invest your time going into the club, the mall, or will you start reducing time you spend socializing, or how you actually socialize? Not just necessarily stop socializing, but actually you begin to redefine what you call socialization in your own dictionary, whereby you will not be found in certain places. You know, the truth of the matter is that we often say everyone has a great destiny. I believe that very strongly. But because many of us are still hanging aloof in the knowledge of that great destiny, we're still messing up today. If I told you that there are certain things you're doing right now that is slowing you down 10 times and stopping you or is going to hinder you from getting to where God has called you to get to, how will you treat that thing? Like a piece of crap. And that's exactly how you should be treating some of these things. So at the moment, you're still embracing them because you don't even have a sense of where you're headed. Now, check this out. Another lesson from the jigsaw puzzle. Your life, my life, and the several events therein, they're like a jigsaw puzzle. We may not see the big picture, but the boundaries of each piece guide our knowledge of how and where to fit. The boundaries of each piece guide us on how and where to fit. If you reflect carefully in your life, and you go back and say, what are the most significant experiences I've had in my life? Write them down. And try to draw a line across them and say to yourself, what is the connection between this first experience and this second experience and this third experience? I'll give you an example. The first major trouble that was going to take my life was when I was playing football. And the ball went over the table. I went over a man's house and I jumped over the fence. And innocently wanted to go and pick up the ball from where I saw it. And I didn't know that I was standing on the waste sewage system. The surface was very weak. For those of us who come from Nigeria, we know how our sewage system is. I didn't know that it was weak. As soon as I went to pick the ball, the system gave way and down I went inside that thing. That thing is about 10 foot deep. And it was full. And I don't still know how to swim. So the moment I went in, people just discovered that a man was going to pick up a ball and suddenly he disappeared. Maybe rapture, they were wondering. But they bolted. Everybody bolted. Nobody stayed back to help me. In fact, because if the first instance I was illegal, I had already scaled someone's fence. Alright, so I was already illegal. So in fact, I put myself in a near-death situation. So I fallen inside that ditch and not having the ability to swim was another major calamity for me. Alright, so how did I come out? Today I'm standing here, at least I'm not dead. So you know I came out. But how did I come out? I don't know. All I can tell you is this. I went down the first time, I came out, tried to come out, the thing gave way again, caved in. Went down the second time, came out, I don't know what. Third time, a hand pulled me out and put me beside that thing. Now, you hear stories of miracles. I'm a living miracle. A hand pulled me out. Till today, there was no human being there, but I can tell you, whether you believe in God or not, it was the hand of God that pulled me out. In that situation, I was dead. Okay, that was my first close shave with death at the age of 13. Nobody dared to help me. And I got home that day, I was shivering. I didn't know what was going to become of me. In fact, nobody could tell my mom. Before rescue team could come, I was gone. So they thought I was dead. So they were all banging on the gates and wanted to go and check inside the thing to see, where is it? So they started using this long stick thing to dip into the thing to see if they could feel any human being under and try to see if they could rescue me. And I was already in my home watching television. Carefree. So on the 9th of February, when they told me I was going to land in surgery, they said the surgery was going to last 30 minutes. The man is from the US and he says he's been doing hundreds of this surgery. So he showed me his register. In fact, my name was the 775th name on his register. So he's done 774 of the same type of surgery. So it wasn't that he was a novice. He was in his mid-60s then. He was a veteran. The only specialist we know in the whole town. So this guy was on top of his game. This guy told my dad all the treatment options. He had taken me, in fact, he took me through all the treatment options. I'm going to cut you open here. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to check this. I'm going to put that. And I was like, yes, sir. I still understand what you're saying. But I was like, man, it's my body I'm cutting anyhow. You know, you're telling me I'm going to cut my body. No, but he took me through all this. At the end of it all, when this man began the surgery, where I knew there was trouble, was the man said, I wasn't expecting this. Then I said, what were you not expecting? Because it was, what do you call this? Anesthesia. Local anesthesia. So I was alive and well, and they were cutting me. I was feeling the scalpel go through my. I was going through pain. I could feel it, I could feel the startle go through me. And I was feeling the sensation, but not the pain. But I knew that that experience was going to change my life. And lo and behold, 40 minutes into the surgery, this guy was even yet to get to where the surgery would take place because something got burst inside of me and that thing spread all over and it was crazy. So they're trying to drain me out and they're trying to, and you know, it was because of the kind of procedure it was, they weren't ready to have suction. So they had to be using some manual mechanism to drain me out. So the anesthesia was wearing out on me. As they were cutting me, I was feeling the pain. And this sounds a bit graphic, but this is what I went through. But as I was going through that process, do you know what my mind was thinking? How I fell into the surgery. And the first thing I was saying to myself was, if I survive that one, I'm not dying on this day. I just said to myself, I'm not ready to die and I'm not going to die on this table. And I just began to pray in my heart. And lo and behold, and now 35 minutes later, the guy succeeded to get through. What they said was to take 45 minutes, took 2 hours, and now I'm here again. Alright? Now, piece those two experiences together. One taught me that I wasn't going to die young, as far as I'm concerned. One taught me that even if I got into trouble, God was always there to help me out. And the other taught me that even when I fell into the trouble again, His hand was there to save me. So when you look at your life, what trends do you observe? Some leadership. Some of you here, you just observe that anytime you get into class, everybody just wants to hang around you. Some of you here, you realize that the derelict people in the class gravitate towards you. Those that are nobodies are the ones that come to you in class. The ones that seem not to be the intelligent ones come to you in class. You find yourself attracted to some of those guys. In fact, when you want to form a big boy or a big girl, you still find your heart longing to speak to those people because that's where your heart truly is. They are the ones that end up becoming your friends, like the David who attracted the guys who were broke, who were all like in despair, guys who were desperate. That kind of a thing. Do you observe that trend in your life? What about victories? You know, because the funny thing is that we don't think too much. We don't reflect a lot. We just think the things that happen in our lives are just simple incidents that don't really matter. So when you overthink things, people say, Abba, is it not that you just went from London to Paddington to Reading and nothing happened to you? What's the big deal? People do it every day, but there are some people who didn't make that same trip. Is it undeserved favors and defeats? Look at this man. His life has taught me a lot of lessons. This is President Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria, because that's my country. Alright, I know there are lots of nationalities in the room. Right from the time this young man was in secondary school, he was never preferred to be leader. But somehow, he will get into leadership. From primary school, the class captain, I think, transferred out of the school, he was elected, became class captain. Unannounced. When he got into politics, he became the deputy governor of the state. The governor messed up. He was impeached or so, whatever it was. He became the president. He became the governor of the state. When he became the vice president, the president died. He became the president. Now, whatever is happening twice in your life, take note of it. I say this to myself. If this guy had attended a seminar like this 30 years ago, and they had warned him that there are things that are happening in your life that you need to pay close attention to, he would have understood that there is every tendency that he will find himself at the highest point of leadership, therefore prepared to function at that height. Even marry a wife that will get you there safely. Or at least if your wife is uneducated. At least if 10 years to come, you know that you're going to be president of a country, begin to school her. Public relations. You don't talk like this in public. And if you are not married yet, the sense of that destiny is what will attract your life partner to you. You cannot want to become the CEO of a country, of a place, and you marry somebody who is just totally off it. And anytime one thing, something people hate, even women, you hate it when you're in a gathering of people and your partner can't discuss intelligently with people there, and you are disgraced when before they open their mouth, you're already pinching them. Sweetheart, I said, sorry, we need to take people. Just leave them out. But as this guy observed the strengths in life, he will have made better decisions at the bigger stages of his life. I want to introduce to you the first prime minister of Egypt as we know it's recorded in history. His name was Joseph. This is the graph of Joseph's life. Began at the high, favorite son. From a high, guess what dropped him here? Hatred and jealousy. Threw him deep down low. Landed here, slavery. At this point, his integrity with the God he served pulled him out. I want you to note what I'm saying. Jealousy, envy threw him down here. Integrity lifted him up. He got here, maintained integrity. A lie brought him down. Integrity, leadership, excellence, love, the virtues you find in great people pulled him up. He became the prison manager. From here again, there was an ongoing problem, everything just like, so from here, this guy becomes prison manager and still doesn't see any way out of his own life. And suddenly, one day, out of nowhere, everything that had worked in pulling him up became a powerful force and actually lifted and elevated him to second command in Egypt. If I were to plot the life of Joseph for you in a simple graph, this is how horrible his life will look. And if I had showed you this guy's life on a stock graph, the first thing you say to you is, God forbid. Because there is nobody here on earth who wants to experience lows like this. Everybody wants to be on a high, a constant high. But this is this guy's life. And I want you to look at his origin, look at his destination. He ended up higher than where he was. When I was 11, 12, 13, I began to experience what we call the first salvo of life's experiences. I will share this for the first time in public. Up to the age of 10, I never believed any family member would die. So when my friends in school were telling me they lost family members, I was like, something is wrong with your family. Why do people die in your family? Nobody dies in my family. It's like we're a special breed of people. At the age of 10, I got hit bad. My favorite uncle died. And then I began to question, like, okay, so what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Suddenly, a good friend of mine with whom we were in class together followed suit, died. I was like, okay, now it is as if I have a totally warped feeling of life. And I began to search for meanings. And then that was when I realized that life comes with so many experiences. In fact, by the time I was fucking 18, I had baggage of my own, addictions and problems that had put me so low that I was wondering when or how will I come out of this. I want to show you the life of 3 friends. Because there will be 3 friends who are already comparing their lives and saying, my life is better than yours. Calm down. Watch these 3 guys. They started from the same spot. Now let's assume that this is academic excellence. So this guy in yellow was probably the most brilliant. So he probably finished the first class from university. This guy midway, second class. This guy is a third class material. As you can see, his life is not even moving. Pretty much, you see. So every other person had an upward trend. Maybe the father had money, maybe these guys went to the best of schools. They came to him with credit, and he was still in Polytechnic Ibadan. And then, so ultimately, it's a case of using the bearer to contact your friend. Hello, friend, how are you? Okay, we are here in Lagos, so there's one level, and then that kind of thing. And then this guy said, oh yeah, we're bringing. So this guy is making this guy look like you are nothing, alright? Okay? Watch this. Suddenly, this guy's life goes into a deep again and rises up again. But watch this. At this age, all his colleagues, where were they? They were all higher than him in the pecking order. So it seems as if, that guy looks at his friends. So these are kind of things where I say, look at your mates. Look at how far they've gone. Look at where you are. Don't you see you're a disgrace to yourself? The kind of stigma we get in Africa most times, when they begin to compare you with other people, forgetting that you are walking different paths entirely. But the trend of this guy's life is not showing us anything too exciting to behold. Therefore, what do we take out of this life? Well, watch this. There was a singular event at a point, or the lowest point in this guy's life, that shoots him to the same height as these other guys. We have all met at the top. How we got there didn't matter. The truth of the matter is that we will get to the top. If you fail not. But I want you to know this. The only permissible thing for you in life is to draw from the experiences of others, but stop comparing yourself with other people. Your life is different from theirs. You have your unique path to follow. Interested in athletics. If you move from lane 2 and jump to lane 3 and start running the race on another person's track, what happens?
Disqualification.
That happens in life too. You wake up, but he's working in PwC. Maybe I should go and employ people. Forget whether you have business acumen, or you forget whether you're endowed with something, and maybe you're even called to be an entertainer, but you are chasing blue collar jobs up and down the place, and you're getting frustrated, and the only dream you have in life is to earn the same 3,000 salary as your friend who is running somewhere, and you are just there wasting away. These are some of the things we go through in life. And that's because perhaps we're not taking or paying close attention to the events and the patterns that have been in our lives. Nothing is ever wasted in life. Nothing is ever wasted. So as you begin to think about your life, may I share with you 3 things you should begin to do. Regardless of where you are, I've noticed something. From the life of Joseph, one decision was what made the difference between his rising and his falling. Sleep with me, says the wife of the master. Nobody else is in this house, lie with me. You are the most powerful man in this house, sleep with me. And the boy looks at the master's wife and says, no man, the master gave me everything but you, and I'm not going to touch you. What do you call that? Loyalty? Integrity. In fact, I will not do this and sin against God. How about that? If you think you want to use my power to entice me, how about the God I hold in higher esteem than even power? This guy made up his choice, made up his mind, embraced the values, deepened his convictions in his faith, and made decisions that actually led to his rise. But watch this. Ground your convictions. What do you really believe? Who on earth are you? Because right now you are living the life of Rita Laura, whatever is the name of that celebrity. Many of us are so much into celebrities that the celebrity life is like a carbon copy of our lives. Your dressing, your mannerism, your speech, in fact, your hairstyle is about the celebrity. Don't you know that you need to get a life of your own at some point? Don't you know that that guy or that girl actually is just a human being like you? Maybe the media made them popular, but they are also harboring their own troubles in their life. I don't know, maybe you want to end up like them. If you look at the celebrities out in Hollywood, how many of them end up dying? I don't know how many people in this world wish to die like them. Huh? How many people wish to die like them? You won't. Nobody wants to. So why are you then following their path? Establish your own core values. What do you believe? You know, the person says, let people know what you believe. What are your values? What are the center of your value system? For those who know me, number 1, integrity. For me, if I say I will, I must. If I will not, I will tell you I won't. Excellence, I don't mess around with it. I mean, these people know me for that. So if I'm defined by my values, people will be very careful when they are bringing nonsense to your table. In fact, have you had cases where people want to say, go and talk to her and say she won't take it from you? Because she's my friend, I know what she does, I know what she believes. Have you established yourself to that point where people can actually define you by your core values? Begin to ask yourself, what exactly is at the center of my value system? Thirdly, bear your future in mind today. Everything you do, have your future in mind as you are acting. Is this thing actually positioning me to fulfill my future? Is actually going to destroy me at the end of the day? So you're in the foundational phase of your life. What you're doing now is actually either digging a deep or a shallow foundation for you. So I decided to leave this with you before I drop the anchor. If you want to look into your life, these are guides or some of the things you should begin to watch out for. I use this and it helps me actually stop to where I am today. I'm still work in progress. I'm not there yet. But if I look at my life and look at some of the things that have helped me shape my values, this was what I did. I try as much as possible to reflect on my journey. I reflect on my journey. I look at my secondary school days. I look at my primary school days. At times I spend what I call thinking time. Sitting down and just reflecting. That incident, why I got flogged. Why did I get flogged? What happened to me? Why did I react in the way I reacted to that person? I begin to test my own motivations and convictions. And you know what has done to me? It has helped me to become a better person. Check your family, your school, your job. You might come from a family with silver spoon or with a golden spoon or with a diamond spoon or with a clay spoon. Wherever you come from doesn't really matter other than what you make out of it. Challenges and trials, how did you overcome them? Successes and victories, pains and joys. The things that hurt you the most, how did you get by? Are they still hurting you? If they're hurting you, why are they still hurting you? Is there a way out? Is there a balm in Gilead? These are questions you should be asking yourself, unanswered questions. Things that still bother me for which I'm finding solutions. What do you see? If you look at these things, what do you see? Then the path. Start linking these things together. What are the lessons learned? Track your motion. Begin to track your motion. In primary school, I was a class captain. Secondary school, I'm a class captain. University, I'm a class rep. There's every tendency I will land in leadership someday. Therefore, if I'm going to be in leadership someday, and I know that the same guys I'm leading now are the guys that I will likely be leading in the future, if I don't have a good reputation with these guys, my future is going to be jeopardized. How about that? For a thought. And how that controls how you answer your phone call today. So rather than you say, will you shut up my friend and get out of there? You begin to say things like, hi there, how are you? Start speaking like the leader you're meant to be. A concerned one who can feel the pain of the people, who can carry the burden of people, that people can genuinely see as a caring one. How about doing that? It takes a lot of practice. That's why you don't arrive at success. You have to go through the stages. And if you fail at any of the stages, unfortunately, if you even arrive there, you have lost something that would help your stay there even more fruitful. So be very careful. Don't despise the people God has put in your life. They may be angels in assignment. Don't despise your background or past experiences. They're actually for your good. Don't despise the future ahead of you. It is the quickest path to unnecessary compromises. This man said something. An unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates, popular philosopher. If your life is unexamined, it is not worth living. Think about that. So you don't just go through life. Don't just be an accidental life person. Don't just go through life. Take a pause, reflect, and cast a vision for yourself. That is the only way you can make your life more fruitful. This man, King David, said, teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. And that's a very powerful one. Teach us to number our days. Why? Because we will apply our hearts unto wisdom. We glide over this when we say it, but the truth is that if you begin to number your days, I'm 30 today. You know the truth? It went by so fast. I'm already seeing myself at the age of 60. And once I'm 60, I'm nearing my grave. So I don't have time to be messing around. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is not the time, perhaps for me, to be wallowing away watching certain TV programs, because now I should be cutting down on them. I'm not saying it's bad to watch TV, but I should be spending less time doing certain things because time is no longer there for me to waste away. Do you understand that? Does that make sense to you? Maybe this is time for me to start choosing my friends wisely, because some friends will be friends for life. Before you go and take upon your journey someone that will puncture your tire, you need only people who will help you get to your destination. If you could get to the end of your life today and flash back in retrospect, how would your yesterday make new sense to you? Think about that. God bless you.